On Mondays, I very much enjoy this experience to talk about how we can bring more dignity to the hospitality industry. And so, by hospitality industry, I do mean the food we eat. You know, not just hotels and tourism, but most importantly, the folks that are making our food for us. So I thought today would be kind of fun to have a little vibe, a little street vibe today. So that's what's going on today. We're out in the streets of Thailand, I believe that's it. Playing some nice psychedelic rock music, retro psychedelic rock music. So feel free to ask any questions or make any statements. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about street food. And so, I talk about street food all the friggin' time. I can't get enough talking about it, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to continue talking about it because it's a model that I have just been seeing work so well all over the world, and I think that there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to see some opportunity with street food in our own community here in America. There's this stigma around street food that it's dangerous, that you're going to get sick from eating street food because it's on the street. And according to our own food safety rules here in the States, you cannot, legally, you're not supposed to process or make food outdoors that's going to be served to someone. Food processing facility, which the facility I'm in currently right now is actually a licensed food processing facility. I legally, by FDA standards, and these are standards that carry over in all types of food safety verification, you have to have 2 layers of walls or of windows between your food processing area and the outside air. So, just that alone kind of rules out the possibility of doing street food. Now, if the street noises today are a little too loud, let me know. I can, control those things. That's the thing that's magical about broadcasting from the street with you guys today, is that I can control all of those things. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. I did. Enjoyed a wonderful birthday party for our friend Kayla last night. It was so much fun. We had a lot of fun. A lot of dignity was found. Let's see. Really? Oh. Hello, welcome to my stream. Today we are talking about street food, and I actually found a couple of articles that I'm going to go over today. These aren't articles from, traditional news outlets. These are actually guidance articles that were published both by the Food and Agriculture Organization as well as the World Health Organization about the safety of street food. So yeah, I did want to make sure that, hey Arrow, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, thanks Arrow. Yeah, it'll be a good discussion. So it's like, there's some famous quotes from Anthony Bourdain and several others talking about how street food is actually safer, really, than most of the food that we can buy in our grocery stores here. And there's many reasons why, and I'm not going to be talking so much about the lack of safety and the food that we currently have available in our grocery stores, but I do want to talk about the like status of safety of street food that is just like established all over the world. So I'll be playing like looping video behind me here of various street food options. You will see one common thing between all of the videos of all of the foods that are being cooked in this video is that they're all being like prepared right there. They're all being prepared right in front of you. And you know, like that should be the best thing to know, that not only is the food safe, but it's gonna be friggin' delicious because it's fresh. I don't think that we should immediately write off that street food is dangerous for our health. Maybe something fried like this. That's my favorite kind of street food. Actually, that may be my kind of favorite kind of food in general is fried deliciousness. But yeah, let me get these articles up for us. You'll have to bear with me. This is my first time using my monitor from so far away. Nope, that's not the one I want. There we go. All right. So this first article coming from Thailand, actually. So this is titled Regional Consultation on Safe Street Foods. So these like articles are probably going to be really dry and kind of difficult to read because they're government articles. So I'll do my best to make it something relatable that we can all enjoy learning from together. So I haven't looked at this article. I was going to read through it quickly before starting, but then I figured, you know what, this will be fun for us to kind of go into it together. I'm assuming though that this article is very similar to other like food safety regulations that you can find through like the FDA. I mean, that's like our main regulator here in the States is the FDA. And the FDA does not say anything about street food. The only places in the United States where there is some type of address to street food is places like New York, and I saw Los Angeles also has some recommendations and allowances for certain street foods. But I've also heard in the actual execution of regulation, there's not a whole lot of leeway in what can be done. And really in the United States, our only form of street food is really like hot dog stands and things like that. As you can see with this video behind me, there is an immense amount of different, you know, options that we could have for street food, all of them nutritious and delicious, and you know, a great gift for us to enjoy. So this document was published by the World Health Organization in Bangkok in Thailand. So it's kind of cool to look at this because this is going to be guidance for you know, food safety in Thailand itself, which is actually a very established street food. Hey, good to see you, Outwoken Tea. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I am broadcasting from the streets of Thailand today to talk about street food and to talk about, most importantly, the safety of street food. Because, you know, we're in a pickle right now. We're in a pickle. You know, I'm not going to go into details of why we're in a pickle, but we're in a pickle because our restaurants are closing around us. And not only are the restaurants closing, but the people working in those restaurants don't have jobs now, yet there's still people that need to eat. Duh, all of us, we need to eat. So we have to find a solution about how to keep people not only employed, but having opportunity to continue their passion of, you know, of making and offering food for the community. So I am looking at a World Health Organization document from Thailand. with guidance about safety in street food. Now, if you guys are here, I'd love to hear your experience and your passion for street food, and also if you have any pointers about. Oh, I'm sorry, Arrow. Yeah, there's. How many did they say? 2 million people. 2 million people at this point. I mean, that was actually a few weeks ago. Was 2 million people are out of work from the restaurant industry in particular. So yeah, Arrow, you are not alone. So wouldn't that be awesome, Arrow, if like with like maybe $20 in your pocket, you could go to a local farmer's market or to a local farm and pick up some stuff and cook it up and sell it to your local community. You can't do that though, Arrow. That's illegal. It's against the law for you to do that. And I think it's pretty ridiculous, you know, and not to say that it should be a free-for-all, but there definitely needs to be some acknowledgement about creating more leniency in the business model around hospitality from a government legislation point of view, so that, Arrow, you would have that opportunity if you chose, if you wanted to offer a service like that in your community. Outwoken T says, good topic. They're really cracking down on street food vendors and giving them strict guidelines. It's true. And you're in Milwaukee, right? I'd be interested to know what kind of street food culture is in Milwaukee. The government wants to get rid of it, so the street food industry is fading. But the street food industry in other parts of the world is thriving. And so what I want to do today is kind of look at like what is working for those cultures, and of course, like most importantly, like what are the government guidelines and recommendations about how to offer safe street food in your community. So this document I'm looking at is from 2011, so it's been a while. This is not brand new. See the contents here. If anything here looks particularly interesting to you, let me know, and I'll be sure to do an extra focus on that. Oh, cool. So it has presentations from each country, from Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, China, Korea, India, Indonesia. Well, that's great. I'm brewing tea with my left hand today. This is an exciting. Yeah, I love street food too, Outwoken Tea. It's my favorite. Like, that might be my favorite thing about traveling. I mean, outside of like seeing my friends and of course the food that's shared in those relationships, it's always fun to go out in the streets and discover all the cool street food that's available. So you have a lot of small taco trucks on the south side of Milwaukee. Otherwise, we have a few barbecue trucks that grill live. Okay, so you bring up a good point. And this is the point that everybody tells me, is that we have a vibrant food truck movement. And so that includes the taco trucks, that includes barbecue trucks, or, you know, whatever type of businesses. And they're, you know, endless amounts, because that's where we are. Over the past decade or so, that's where the hospitality industry has gone, where our real opportunity is through a food truck. But if you look at the business model of a food truck, it's just as like cost prohibitive, resource intensive as a, you know, dine-in restaurant could be, as like a very casual dine-in restaurant, because you still have to follow all the same food safety guidelines that a restaurant has to follow. You can mobilize your food and take it somewhere else, but legally, the food is supposed to be prepared in a commercial kitchen, and then once it goes to the truck, then you know, you have to still follow the same okay, so Era has a good question too. He wonders how farmers markets and carnivals get away with what they're doing. So there's, you know, fried Oreos or cotton candy, or, you know, farmers markets. So the thing with the farmers markets, and because I've been there, I've like tried to sell tea at farmers markets, I've tried to network at farmers markets, and I see how they work. A lot of that stuff is under the radar, and because the local health department is licensing the farmer's market itself. A lot of times, like the freshly prepared food is maybe like when the inspector comes, like it comes out after. And even if they do inspect like your grilling station, if you're doing something at a carnival, well, I know carnivals can't get away with it. They have to follow the rules. So you have to buy special licenses for a special permit for an inspector to come out and inspect you to make sure that you have your 3-compartment sink for, washing the dishes, and then you have a separate hand washing station, and that you have your, gray water waste, and that you have all of your temperature controls. So, they come, and I've actually had a festival one time. I do a lot of events and festivals and such, and I'll invite chefs to come and bring food to serve. And of course, we have to do everything legally, so I get it all licensed through the health department. And I've had one time, poor Chef Janine, I love her to death, and I feel so bad this happened to her, but she brought a huge tray of chicken. It looked beautiful. I was just like so excited to share it with the event. And when the health inspector had come, like, she came right before the event started, and Chef Janine had come maybe like 3 hours ahead to set up, and she had the chicken in the refrigerator, but when the health inspector came right before the event was starting, she had the chicken out. And the health inspector like had asked her and fumbled her in the questions about the chicken and where it had been and how much time it had been out and all of that. And Janine just said the wrong thing, and the health inspector said, nope, that's out of the guidelines, you have to dump it. And the health inspector made her like throw away all of her chicken that she had worked so hard to make. And it was just like a technicality that Chef Janine could have just told the health inspector the truth of like, I got here at this time, it's been in the fridge for this amount of time, we checked the temps on the fridge on this, but because she didn't say the right thing, she had to throw it all out. And so that's a very common thing. So, even if you can prepare and serve food outdoors, there's special licensing for it. And you do have to get inspected. There's definitely stuff going on under the radar, but eventually things get cracked down upon. So, and who wants to be sneaking around anyway? Like, we're talking about dignity here. And dignity, should mean that the guy that wants to stand on the corner and fry up omelets for the community and provide sustenance to his community should be treated just as much as a business as any other business in town. So, this requires legislative, editing. Making the rules a little bit different so that there's more opportunity. So I'm going to go back to this article. It seems that there's probably going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to scroll through. But let's see what this is. Okay, the Regional Consultation on Safe Street Foods was organized by the World Health Organization, Regional Office for Southeast Asia. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tell all of the cars and stuff to be quiet for a second while I read. We'll keep the music going, though. So the program consists of several sessions that provide an overview of the importance of food safety in street food. But again, yeah, if you guys have any recommendations or notes or thoughts that you have about street food and what street food means to you, and this is a manifesto here. So like, we have the opportunity to talk about our dreams, to talk about what we want to see in the world, and so that's the point of this here. So, if you have an idea, you have a dream, specifically about this topic, please bring it into the comments. I'd love to include it with this manifesto. So, yeah, all of the transcripts, the subtitles from these videos I've been collecting, and, over the months, processing and digesting all of the information with the intent of publishing a proper manifesto, very similar to this document that we're looking at right now from the World Health Organization. And maybe if we're lucky, our government and our politicians will look at it. Because like right now, to be honest, the only thing the politicians are doing and the only thing the lobbyists are doing to protect our hospitality workers and our hospitality industry is asking for bailouts, which are great, maybe, I don't know. But like, regardless of how you feel about a bailout and like where the money's coming from and who should get it, like a bailout is just a Band-Aid. And what we're talking about here is our freaking food system. This is our communities. And so I really think that we need more advocates talking about this and saying that like our solution is way beyond a bailout, a financial bailout at this point. So a baseline survey conducted by the Ministry of Food Processing Industries in 9 cities reported the following findings. Could be interesting. 95% of the vendors sampled had sought financial subsidy from the administration, including credit loans under easy payment schemes. Over 60% requested free training in aspects of food safety and safe street food. So that's cool. So 60%, I know this is not like every street food vendor in the world, but of the ones that were sampled in this survey by the World Health Organization, 60% like at least have a concern for food safety, you know? So like to like make a blanket statement that street food is dangerous and we need to stay away from it is really also making the statement that the vendors of street food don't care about food safety. They don't care about your health. Duh, they care about your health. Like they want to feed you, and they're not making millions of dollars to feed you. They're making hardly anything, but there's dignity, you know, and I think that's like a recurring theme in this series is that dignity in the context of the hospitality industry and hospitality workers is not necessarily equated to your salary amount, your dollar amount, your income necessarily. It's more tied to your autonomy and just to the respect that you feel with your product and with your customers and everything else. So I'd be happy being a street food vendor. If I found the right thing for me, you know, that I'm passionate about and want to provide that to the community. You know, like I think in my life I've only met a couple of unhappy street food vendors. And I've met a lot. I mean, none of the people in this video behind me, none of them look unhappy. You know, they're definitely not wealthy, but they're living their life and they're providing sustenance to their community, and it's a daily income for them. So, you know, like that's the context of dignity I want to give here, is that dignity is not just about we need to make sure that the business owners don't go bankrupt, or we need to make sure that the servers get paid more, and that we figure out the tip out system between the servers and back of house. And that's like those are nuances, and we definitely address those things here in this series. But more importantly, I really want to address these higher level issues. And really, yeah, if someone has dignity and has autonomy, of course, they're going to have pride in what they do. And when it comes to serving food, that pride is associated with providing a safe product to their customers. The majority of vendors sampled indicated their willingness to relocate to designated areas that would provide better business opportunities and income. So, okay, so that's too, that like, be treated like a normal business. That like if a normal business owner, any normal business owner appreciates that opportunity to be able to pursue opportunity, go get more than just sitting back and being happy with what you have. I think that's something else, you know, that like the perception. Okay, let's say Arrow, if you're still here. Oh, here we go. I think you are still here, Arrow. I think you just said something. Let me go check out what you said. He said, I know that in Mexico, most butchers have their meat cut thin, stacked up high, and left out unrefrigerated, which breaks just about every serve-safe rule that exists. But I think that there is something to be said about locals being accustomed to lower standards of food safety, whereas a place like the U.S. has such strict guidelines, could result in a lower tolerance in food that may not follow the proper food safety standards. Yeah. So you have two very valid points there, Aram. And both of them are like intertwine the same topic that we're talking about here. So you're right in that, like, our immune system, maybe not mine, because I've been around and I've put my system through some stuff, but a standard American, if they were to go to Mexico and eat a taco prepared with meat that was left out for a long time, if that taco was like cooked and prepared like right in front of you and was given to you, probably gonna be okay. But like, let's say sometimes it's not even the meat that's the problem, it's the condiments that are the problem. The salsas are just sitting out all day. They make them in the morning, you get your taco at the end of the day, you put the salsa on top, and more than likely that's where the bacteria or whatever toxin that's going to get you sick is going to be in those condiments versus in the meat itself. So you are right on that. But, let's talk about the resilience of the American immune system right now. We've got like the lowest resilience in the whole world. And, there's kind of some argument on that. All my hippie friends are like, oh, this means that our immune systems are too clean and we can't handle issues, and so they say, yeah, I purposely take my kids to play in the mud because I want them to get all of the germs in their system so that they can build up tolerances and be more immune. There is truth to that, and so maybe our food is too sterilized. It's true to say that, processed food is too sterilized. And, if we really want to talk about food safety, we shouldn't just talk about the intoxicants from bacteria or, the normal things that the FDA teaches us to be afraid of. But, there are other things that we are putting into our food system here that, we're definitely the first ones in the world to be doing it versus other countries, is even the concept of monoculture agriculture, even if it's not GMO, and GMO is a whole other thing, but, things are not meant to be grown in a monoculture environment. They really aren't. And that's all we do in our sanitized, processed food. Energies, we always talk about the energy in tea and how that's like the most important character as a quality tea taster or evaluator. Like, that's the most important quality, is to look at the chi. How does your body feel after, long after you've drank the tea? How does your body feel? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel jittery? That's we talk about food safety, we don't talk about the chi of our food at all. Like, the FDA does not one time in all of their Code of Federal Regulation address energetics, the safety of energetics in our food. And I'm in no place to say that I know how that needs to be addressed. But it should friggin' be addressed. If we're really going to be taking it this far, and evaluating and criticizing, the bacterial safety of something, I think we really need to, how to monitor the energetics. I don't know. There's no test strips or, petri dish that we can put the thing into and figure out how the energetics are. But I'm making this point because our food regulation is incomplete. It's not addressing everything. I don't know what the answer is. And that's the purpose of this right here. Every Monday I come live and have these conversations. So thank you so much for being a part of that. So moving back to the document that we're looking at, The most favored locations were identified as markets, followed by shopping complexes, hospitals, bus stations, schools, government offices, railway platforms, and pavements. Yeah, all of these places would be illegal to serve your food. And like in our like commercial corporate, real estate model here in the States, which is very unique to here, to anywhere else in the world. So like the first thing they say, they want to be placed in a shopping complex. Like that's the most ideal, in a market or a shopping complex. A shopping complex, like the owner of a shopping complex that's trying to attract high paying tenants, like they incentivize their tenants by offering exclusivity to them. So they tell them, hey, Starbucks is a really good example of this. So like Starbucks, when they take a lease in a shopping complex, they will always put in, exclusivity line in their lease saying that no other coffee shop can be located in that shopping complex because they don't want competition. And I don't know if you've ever gone to a street food vending center. On Instagram, in my background, this is a very large street food market in, this is in Jinghong in Yunnan, China. Almost looks like Thailand. It's just kind of cool. There's a lot of commonality between those communities. They're very close to each other as well. But anyway, this street market here has like probably over 2,000 vendors. There's so many I was like blown away. And like, there'd be like 5 vendors in a row all selling the same shit. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, how do they compete? How do they survive? But, really, like when it comes to street food, this is not Yelp reviews. This is not, whoever has the best marketing campaign on Instagram. It is literally your relationships. Like if there are 5 orange juice stands and you're going to pick one, like more than likely, you're going to pick the one that is like family to you. And if that vendor's having dignity and having his established place, his or her established place, vending that product there, they are like family in that community. Like they're not just a taco truck that's like trying to cruise around and find the best place to be. They are there. They are part of that community. And for the most part, the customers that come and eat their food are the same customers that come every single day. So, it's an important thing to keep in mind. Arrow, thank you so much for participating in this discussion so much. I very much appreciate it. So Arrow says, even if street food was allowed to be introduced to the US, I can't help but think of how much people would be telling you to get off their property. So that's it, Arrow. That's exactly what I mentioned here about, lease agreements that shopping complexes would have. Yeah, we are so obsessed with our identity with private property, with personal property, with property ownership here in this country and in this culture, of how the world could be operating. There's this entitlement that, you have to own everything. And, last week I spoke on change, because there are, of the 40% of businesses that do stay open, 40% of restaurants that do stay open and do endure the pandemic and stay open, they're going to be pissed as hell if the lawmakers allow for street food to come along, because they all went through the process of getting licenses, making their commercial kitchen, doing all of that, so something else we have to address. And last week I introduced that idea. We did not come up with any kind of solution for it. So that's still like a very open discussion. So if you have any ideas around that, please feel free to share. But that is something that we have to be prepared for, and not prepared to fight it, but prepared to embrace it and to empower it. Right? And that's basically what I said last week, is that instead of telling people, oh, well, this is the right way and you just got to deal with it, we have to think about their perspective and find ways to let them realize that that's the right thing. That could be as easy as like allowing the government to incentivize pre-established food businesses into like a street food model very easy and seamlessly. I mean, that is an opportunity, but I don't know if it's the best. That was just an idea. I just came up with. But like that's an example of like how we could get the status quo to accept this change, incentivize them, and whatever it is. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. All right. So yeah, please keep the comments coming in. Love to hear what you think of all of this. All right, so here's of the vendors requested better garbage disposal, sanitation support, and clean water supply, in addition to hygienic toilets near food vending areas. Oh, hey, Arrow, you're here now too. Yeah, you wanted to see my market I have going on here. Yeah, so not only is it the responsibility of the vendor to have their food safety in line, but city organizations can provide infrastructures to support that and better ensure that those vendors can provide a safe product. So, you know, we were talking about street food or taco trucks and food trucks. It's like those businesses are all responsible for their own sanitation. They're all responsible for their own food safety and all of that. And it's reasonable. You know, if you're a lone wolf out there, it's reasonable that you would be responsible for all of that. But if you know, our community really wanted to support something like a street food initiative, cities would be small kind of infrastructures, water supply, sanitation, bathrooms, all of that. I know there was like a controversial project announced last week here in Las Vegas for an interesting kind of food stall concept in our downtown area that there's a lot of anger among the established businesses in the area because this parking lot, basically, that's going to be converted into a bunch of food stalls will not have any hygiene facilities. Well, no bathrooms, nothing like that. So the local businesses are all bitching because they're assuming, and rightly so, they're assuming that the customers of this new, you know, parking lot of food stalls are going to be trying to use their facilities. So, this is an independent project. I would think that something like a parking lot of food stalls is something for the city health department to be involved in, because it's a service to the community. It's a service to our local small business. Everybody can operate safely and provide a good product to their customers, and then also not to exhaust somebody else's resources, another small businesses. The FSSAI prepared a checklist, guidelines, and prerequisites for registration of medium to small food vending establishments. It has proposed a scheme aimed at voluntary participation of food establishments to ensure food safety and upgrading of existing conditions of eating establishments. That's key right there. So this is the World Health Organization. thing about it too is street food, like, it's gonna get back to that vendor fast. Family operation that they're providing food to their local community, and then someone gets sick from it, you better believe the family's gonna come down to that street vendor and say, hey, you got grandpa sick, like, what are you gonna do about it?